Hey everyone, before the video starts I just wanted to give a big thank you to Pete for putting time aside to do this interview with me. It's massively appreciated. I can't wait for this interview and I hope you guys are as excited as I am for it. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get on with the interview. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm extremely excited for this video because today I'm sat here with the amazingly talented and very lovely Pete Gold. I know it's been a while since I did an interview video, but this one is going to be an absolute banger. So welcome to the channel, Pete. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much indeed for having me and for your kind remarks at the beginning. It's nice to be here, thanks.
That's all right. So obviously a lot of people on this channel are probably going to know you as Hoxton from the Payday series. You've played, I think you've played him in, you've played him in every single game, bar the start of Payday 2, because they didn't, from what I know of, they didn't ask you to be him originally.
Yeah, that's right. On the sort of sequel, they basically, I'm still not quite sure why, but I think because they'd done an animated series after Payday 1, and that had gone very well, but for one reason or another, they just used local talent. They'd used American voice actors on it, I think, and Hoxton was voiced by an American actor in that kind of online in the web series, and they carried him through to the next game when that came out, and that, which is fine, it's all business, isn't it? You never take any of this personally, but my lower lip might have wobbled a bit, to be honest, and then there was a lovely petition online, and loads of fans kind of went, what happened to the sweary British guy, bring him back, and the makers of Payday listened to the petition and went, okay, not only will we bring him back, but we'll shoot a little film that has a sort of plot twist in it that is why he went away in the first place and how he's coming back.
Had to be you. Hey! I'm talking to you! You fucking twat!
I absolutely loved the lore that they brought into the whole act of Hoxton going to jail and how they incorporated it, especially into that Christmas album that you recorded with Simon Viklund, because it started out as... I actually listened to it when I was doing some research for this video. I went back and listened to it because it'd been a few years since I had, and it was I really liked the introduction you did with the lawyer at the start, where you're like, so your only answer is I have to get broken out of here, and yeah, it's just so amazing how they.
Yes, and he had to smuggle recording equipment into prison so I could record a Christmas album. Or something.
That's honestly. Have you ever thought about doing any more albums like that? Have you ever reached out to Simon and said, hey man, we should do another Payday album with Hoxton, or maybe get some more crew members?
I haven't. I mean, I would be totally up for that, but I know Simon's moved on to other things now, and I don't think we're even regularly in touch on like Instagram or anything, even these days. But I'm sure if I said hi, if I waved at him, he would wave back. I've no doubt. But whether he's got the time and headspace to do another Payday comedy Christmas album, I don't know. But man, it was fun when we did it.
He's extremely talented as well.
He's amazing, yeah.
Because he did all the recording and the playing himself, right, for that album.
Yeah, he did, and like he even I think he did some like scratch vocals on it. And I was like, what? You don't even need me. This is brilliant. The tracks he presented me with, the production values on them were just fantastic. I'm like, how have you done this? Yeah, he's super accomplished and a really nice guy. We did meet once. He came over. I think he had business, brought him to London, and I went out to lunch with him and a mate. And really, what a lovely guy. It's not often you kind of get to do that as a voice actor. You're in a cupboard with a microphone talking to someone who's hundreds of miles away. To actually meet someone face to face is a rare treat.
So I was going to ask, how did you actually get into voice acting, and like, do you actually remember some of the first piece of VA work you did?
I fell into voice acting. It was a really unusual route because my brother set up a voiceover agency, Excellent Talent, and that was '96, just as I graduated and didn't quite know where. Well, I wanted to go to drama school, but didn't have any money, so I thought, I'll just work for a bit and put some money away. And I helped run the voiceover agency when my brother set it up on his dining room table. And it went really well. It went from strength to strength. I sort of enjoyed doing that and never went to drama school. And then as we took on more and more people and the office got more and more staff, I kind of went, well, maybe I could get into being a voice actor. So I applied to my brother to be on his books, and he eventually said yes. My first demo got rejected, and rightly so. It sucked. But he gave me a second chance, and so yeah, I sort of wiggled into voice acting from being a voice agent, which is very unusual. And then my first ever gig, I think. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold.
That's all right.
I've got some nice sound effects there now. My first ever gig, I think. Well, I did gigs off my own bat that were little radio ads for nightclubs in Essex through a guy who's still booking me 30 years later, bless him, John. That's really nice. He gave me my first job. And then I did one through an agency, through the agency, through Excellent Talent, that was a corporate video. I can't even remember what for, in Dorking somewhere. And the director was talking me through the script and going, oh, it needs this, it needs that, highlight these words. And then she stopped herself and went, oh, but what am I saying? You do this all day, every day, for a living. And I was like, oh, my first job. So it was a sort of crash course in pretending you know what you're doing, really. But yeah, I mean, I took to it quickly, but everyone's got to start somewhere, haven't they? Everyone's got a first job.
Yeah, I've heard this a lot from voice actors, where there's no defined way get into the industry. They all kind of just get all of the voice actors kind of just fall into it somehow. Is what I've kind of always understood about it.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think a lot of people in the voiceover industry, certainly when I joined it, were either they were either actors doing a bit of a side hustle as a voiceover, or they were broadcasters doing voiceover as a side hustle. And now it's changed a lot because the kit that you need to have a studio at home is readily available and much less expensive. And there are widely available training courses on not just how to be good at voice acting, but how to run your own business, do marketing, socials, accounts. Everything you need to be a voice actor is there for the taking on the internet for a price. I mean, all these courses are chargeable. But when I started, the kit was really expensive. I think I borrowed my brother's studio for like the first 3 years of my career. So I probably wouldn't be a voice actor if I hadn't had all these helping hands. And now it's different. Anyone can be a voice actor if they really want to be. If they want to spend £2,000 or £3,000 and 3 or 4 months getting up and running, they can get into voice acting. And I know loads of people who've just gone, I'm bored of being an accountant, I'm going to quit my job and retrain as a voice actor. And they're very successful. So there are a lot of jobbing voice actors they're not actors and they're not broadcasters. Their only hustle is voice acting. And that's great.
So you're in your brother's studio as well for, you said, about 3 years, right?
I think so, if not more.
Was that studio you did those original voice lines for Payday the Heist in?
I think no. So I'm pretty sure I was living where I live now. I've been here for 18 years. And I'm pretty sure I remember doing the audition here in the studio that's just next to me through this wall. And I remember getting the audition through, and it was quite clear on the brief. It said a lot of these lines will be delivered under heavy gunfire with a lot of noise around you, so you need to scream your guts out, basically. But don't do anything in your audition that you're not happy to maintain for a 4-hour voice record. So I didn't really follow that advice. So I turned it all up to 11 and started screaming in my audition, which was great fun for 10 minutes. And I got the job, and they invited me into the studio for 4 hours. So I did 4 hours of screaming, and then couldn't speak a word for about 2 weeks after that. And my Starbreeze, I think, and my agent were very kind and kind of said, sure, okay, we can't do that again. Let's just make sure from now on none of the sessions are longer than 2 hours, and all of the screaming is done at the end of the session.
Oh, okay, so they were very compliant with, like, not destroying your voice. That's good.
They were very accommodating, and it was a learning curve for me. I'd never done anything like that before, and I didn't know how to protect my voice, or that I sort of had any right to. And I think you'll probably find all developers are only too happy to make sure that voice artists protect their voice, because when you're doing some extreme stuff, if it's like, okay, the character falls off a cliff, give me 10 death screams on the trot, 10 seconds each. That's like, well, then I can't work for the rest of the week. Do you know what I mean? So you got to be careful.
And did you think Hoxton would become a staple of your career as you were recording it? Because I imagine it was quite a unique voice acting session to be a part of, to be screaming and telling people to get on the fucking floor.
It was hugely cathartic recording all of those lines. It was no, you don't need therapy if you're a gangster, do you? It's great. No, I don't think I had any idea that how popular the game would be, or that it would still be running. Where is it now? Like 12, 13 years on or something?
Payday, the heist came out in 2011, I think.
Yeah, so that's 14, 15 years on. That's nuts.
I was 9 when it came out.
Yeah, don't say that.
I used to play it with my brother, and my brother used to always play as Hoxton, and that always really annoyed me because he was the only British heister on the team at the time. I think he still is. And so my brother would always play. You know, he's my older brother. He's 2 years older than me, so he was always the one getting the first pick of who he was going to play as, and he'd always play as Hoxton. They would always really annoy me because I wanted to play as Hoxton, so I'd end up playing as like Dallas.
Yeah, it's the next best thing.
Yeah,
that's really funny. Surely you could have at least tossed a coin for that.
Oh, my brother just, I don't know. He's very like, when I like to use different characters sometimes in games. Like when I play Payday 2, I'll play as Hoxton, but I also play as a load of different characters as well. But my brother.
Well, there's so many to choose from, isn't there? Really, I don't blame people. You want to shake things up.
But my brother's he'll stick to one thing and just roll with it. So he always loved that he could play as the sweary British bank heister Hoxton, and yeah, it's kind of being weird sat here now as well, because I've played Payday since I was 9, which I probably shouldn't have been playing it when I was 9, but
probably not. No, but no, it's all in the past.
Yeah.
I think the sweary Britishness of it has been a lot of his success. Really, I don't claim to be amazing at kind of I don't ascribe any of the character's success to my own acting abilities, if I'm perfectly honest. I kind of think he was a bit exotic and came up with loads of swear words that nobody had ever heard of, especially in the States. Like, he's got a big support following, I think, in Russia and in the States. And it must have just been, everyone must have been, what is a daft apeth? What is a bloody wanker? I think the kind of Yorkshireness of it added a little extra sort of tinge of exoticism, and yeah, and that's why he's sometimes a favourite, I think, because of that.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I remember in the Hoxton Breakout trailer, Houston, which was old Hoxton, calls him a twat, but Americans never say twat correctly. They always say twat, like that.
They say twat.
Yeah, so he says it in the trailer, and then I'm like, oh, he tried it. At least Houston tried his best to accommodate the British swear words, but
yeah, that's really funny. That, and what was funny at the beginning, it was the scripts were written by I think Swedish people, actually, originally from the original company, and they had an amazing command of English. But how on earth could they have a grip on weird 1980s Yorkshire slang words? So they kind of went, well, we've written some stuff here which we think is okay, but if you can think of a more Yorkshire way of saying it, then off you go. So I'd quite often record. It's all spreadsheeted, so I would record the cell and the spreadsheet as they'd written it, and then give them 2 or 3 alternatives of, what I thought Hoxton might say in a more Yorkshire kind of vein. So it was great. I had some creative input into the lines, which I think is probably quite unusual.
So there's a lot of leeway for improvisation.
Yeah, crazy stuff, really. Like I'm going on about Yorkshire tea or digestive biscuits in one session. If you remember.
I think that's why a lot of people do like Hoxton, is because he's just, out of all the heisters, I think he's the most unique. I mean, I think every heister is unique in their own way, but I think with Hoxton, he doesn't take the heisting as seriously as, like, Dallas is. He's in it for the fun. He's not in it for the money, I think, is the magic with Hoxton. And I mean, you can kind of hear it in all the voice lines he provided. I mean, one of my personal favourite ones is in Payday 2. I'm not sure if it's in the heist, but you get to the escape van, and then Hoxton will go, "Oh, taxi for the Payday gang." Was that improvised?
Do you know what? I'm really sorry. I can't remember if that was improvised. That sounds rather funny. So no, I probably didn't improvise that one. That was probably written.
I always hear it whenever I play the First World Bank heist, which is like the classic one that it was in Payday the Heist. That was the one that kicked things off for that gang of criminals.
Yeah, I think what generally happened is that they would write something, so they'd be like, "Oh God, it smells worse in here than something," and I'd go, oh, "Okay, that's good. Let's do that. What else could we think of? It smells worse than a Yorkshireman's cricket box, or I don't know." You know what I mean? So I'm generally providing variations on a theme that somebody else has come up with.
Okay.
So I can't claim to have invented Taxi for the Payday crew. That's quite good.
Have you? I mean, you said you're not much of a gamer, but have you ever played Payday?
I think I tried to very early on, possibly before it was even released. They gave me a link and was like, "Here, this is what it will look like." And I was shocking at it. I was doing that classic thing of just walking into walls, and I shot loads of hostages. I was rubbish at it. So yeah, I've never played it since.
To be fair, Payday the Heist is a really difficult game. I went back to it quite recently. It's more tactical than Payday. Like Payday 2 is a bit more of a shoot 'em up, have a bit of fun kind of game, whereas Payday the Heist is a lot more tactical. So even I struggled playing that again. It's bloody hard, that game.
Well, honestly, I'll be honest. I mean, I've never played it, but I've watched plenty of gameplay footage, and I watch this stuff and go, I can't even follow what's going on. How is he doing that? What's he looking at now? Like, I really am a granddad when I look at all this stuff. Sorry, that's disappointing, isn't it? But there we are.
I mean, I kind of understand that in a way, because I went to college and I did film and TV production, but I never ever watched movies or TV. I've only ever watched like one TV show, and that was The Boys. Yeah, it's weird because a lot of people are like, you went to college and you got this qualification in film and TV, but you don't watch film or TV, so I kind of get it, because I guess a lot of voice actors don't play the games that they VA for, especially because is it weird hearing your own voice in a game or in a media?
Well, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's exciting. The novelty still hasn't worn off. I occasionally I'll be in a shop and I'll hear an in-store announcement, and oh, it's me. You know, that novelty hasn't worn off after 25 years of doing it. But I'm just not a gamer. I play Minecraft with my son. Well, we don't even do that anymore. But no, really not a gamer at all. But I sort of feel like I kind of feel a bit dishonest. Do you know what I mean? I kind of feel like I should be. I should be interested in playing this game that I'm such a big part of. And loads of people have said, "Oh, can we play Payday with you?" And I'm like, I just don't know where to begin. So I feel like I'm letting the side down, really. But there you go.
No, it's fine. I totally understand that with my college story. A lot of people, especially at work, people go, "You've never seen this movie, Sam?" And I'm like, "No, I've never seen it."
I mean, it's not like I'm snobby about it. It's not like I look down on game. I think gaming's fucking brilliant. I love it. It's I've heard actors kind of get up. There's one actor who's in the Harry Potter series, and she was like, "Oh no, I don't watch it. It's rubbish." Or do you know what I mean? That's not how I feel at all. I think it's great. It's just gaming is not part of my leisure time, really.
Well, do you ever actually get recognised in real life though as Hoxton? Like, have you ever been in the pub and someone's gone, "Fuck me, you're Hoxton from Payday"?
No, never anything
Really?
like that. Yeah, I think the closest I came to that was I was in I do amateur dramatics sometimes, and I was in a show with someone, and we were talking about video gaming, and he said he played Payday, and I went, "Oh, really? I'm in that." And he went, "No way, what?" So I blew his mind for about 10 seconds. But no, I just never get. I think I probably sound quite different to Hoxton as well. I don't normally talk with a Yorkshire accent.
So did you make it a bit stronger when you were recording those lines then, like purposely?
Yeah, so I grew up in Sheffield, but I probably did grow up with a Yorkshire accent and just sort of slowly lost it, I suppose, when I moved to London. But I have a brilliant story funnily enough, about my brother, he's also a voiceover, and he was on a sleeper train. He used to read the shipping forecast on Radio 4, and And he was all over the radio. He was broadcast regularly on Radio 2. And at one point, many years ago, he was on a sleeper train and was reading something to his girlfriend. And the guy in the next compartment banged on the wall and said, "Turn that bloody radio off!"
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So his voice, I think, is much more recognisable than mine. But no, it's never happened to me.
What does your brother think of your career as having played Hoxton in Payday? Is he quite jealous that you got to do such a cool gig?
I don't know. I mean, he's had an amazing career as a voiceover, and as I say, I don't think I would have even got started if it weren't for him and his generosity. And he's been very kind to me for all these last decades. I don't know if he's jealous of being Hoxton. I think he's been the voice of the Weakest Link. He was the first British voice of Siri. He was a signature voice of Radio 2. He's had an amazing career. I don't think he's got anything to be jealous of, really, in my career. And I suppose we're quite different types of voice as well, really. And also, like, he doesn't have a Sheffield accent to fall back on either. So no, I don't think so.
What do your family think of like your career and the characters you've played?
Well, they're all quite excited for me. Do you know what I mean? If I get an exciting email from my agent and go, "Oh, I'm going to be in this next week" or whatever, they're all delighted for me. And I think that I was always slightly worried when my son was a bit younger if he would want to start playing the game, which is full of dad swearing. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not. Now he's 16. It's fine. He's heard it all. But he's never. Him and his friends have never been into Payday anyway, so he's never heard me swear every bad word under the sun. So it's all been fine. But no, I think everyone is very supportive of me, and like I say, the novelty for me hasn't worn off. So if I come traipsing down the stairs going, "Yay, I've got a gig," they're all like, "Well done." Very good. Right.
I think like that'd be so cool though to like. It must be so cool to have Hoxton under your belt, because like the Payday series at this point, I think, is such a massive staple of the gaming community. Regardless of it only being like a lot of games will be considered classics and they'll be like decades old, and yeah, Payday's, well, I say only 12 years old, but yeah, to me that I grew up on it, so to me it's a classic. So to be the voice of one of the main characters in that game, and especially from the start, must be like extremely cool to just be able to like tell people that.
It's great. I mean, like you said, what you need as a voiceover is something recognisable to hang your coat on, as it were. You can go, "You may remember me from such video games as Payday 2 or whatever." It's great to be able to do that. And I had no idea it would be this epic when I got the gig. So yeah, I'm delighted about that. And I suppose because I'm not a gamer, I don't really have a real perception of where it sits in the video game landscape, or how well loved it really is, or how enduring it is. So it's nice to hear that it's considered a classic, I guess. And
yeah.
I'm delighted to have been a part of it, and it seems to mean a great deal to an awful lot of people. And I feel hugely privileged to have been involved with it in any way at all. Yeah.
Do you have any like Payday memorabilia? Did Everkill give you like the Hoxton mask or anything like that?
They did. They were very kind. I mean, I would have been quite. I actually spent some time looking around at like T-shirts and things, and you can get like bobblehead dolls and things. I really wanted a little dashboard dolly with Hoxton's head on it. You can get everything under the sun. You can get those, but I've yet to find anyone. I occasionally look for one on eBay, and I've never actually found one, but they do exist. But Payday were very kind, and they sent me a big box full of masks for me to sign when I went to Comic-Con a few years ago. So that was very kind of me. But I've still got half a box full in my loft somewhere.
Was it like a plastic mask?
It was a plastic one. It wasn't one of the quality ones.
Do you know what's really funny? Is I've got one of those in my cupboard.
Have you?
Yeah. I'll have to dig it out, but it's definitely in there. I remember I think you could be wrong. It was either you. Did you sell someone at eBay?
I used to sell them on eBay.
Yeah. I got it off eBay years ago.
Did you? That's really funny.
Years ago, yeah.
So you've got a signed one in your closet?
Yeah, I've got a signed one. Then I've actually got the real one above my monitor right now. The one that you can buy off their store. I've
Yeah,
had that one for years as well.
they are quality. Those ones, aren't they?
I always thought they would have given you the one that they used in the live action shoot for the Hoxton breakout video.
Great. Well, yeah, I mean, I was very sad that I didn't get asked to be in the movie because I just dubbed my voice on afterwards. Yeah, I was like, oh, this could be it. It could be my big break. I'll be in movies. And no, it was just dubbing, but that's fine.
I mean, it's still cool because your character. I don't know how many of the trailers you've watched for Payday, but in one of the trailers, for the character, the dentist, who's played by. Oh, I want to butcher his name here.
Yeah, Giancarlo. What's his name? Yeah,
Esposito, I think.
Yes, yeah. Who was in Breaking Bad and all that.
He mentions your character. That must be incredible because he is such a big figure in the acting community. Breaking Bad. Yeah. He was in a few other video games as well, Far Cry. So yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I've been on screen with all sorts of legends. John Cleese played my butler, didn't he? In the in the safe house thing. I was just mental. I mean, sadly we didn't get to go for cocktails at any point, but it's just amazing to have been involved in the same project as all these people.
Especially in Payday 2 as well, because it has such a big cast. I checked the IMDb, and the list is very exhaustive. It's incredible how many big names they got into that game. So to be a part of that must be very special.
It's brilliant. Yeah, I'm a very lucky guy.
And the levels in Payday as well. So what I noticed is in Payday the Heist, a lot of the levels have a lot more dialogue about the actual level, and I've kind of always wondered, were you ever shown gameplay of the level before you did the voiceover work so you could get yourself into the headspace of, right, I'm in this bit of the level, I'm in this position, and I need to say this line? Or was it just, did you record the lines before they made the level?
Do you know what? I don't know. So the answer to the first bit of that question is no, they didn't show me the gameplay. But the answer to the second bit of the question is, did they fit the gameplay to the voice work? I don't know. I don't think so. I think they pretty much sort of built everything they needed to before getting the voice actors in the studio. And then they would give you loads of context.
Right.
They would talk you through it. So you go, right, in this scene, you're in stealth mode. You're trying not to be spotted by the cameras. And then the cops start, abseiling down the walls in the middle of it, and all hell breaks loose or whatever. So it's important to give people context if you're recording a voice actor. But no, I didn't generally get to see footage. I did get to see footage of the trailer for Payday 3. Oh, in fact, sorry, that was a dubbing job anyway, wasn't it? Because that was in fact, they were really. It took quite a long time to record that. I mean, the trailers were sort of, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes long, and it took a couple of hours just to do my lines alone. So, the attention to detail is amazing.
And can we expect to hear more of you in games in the future? Is that a possibility?
I hope so. I can't tell you anything about Payday because I just haven't heard anything. But I hope I will be in other games. I've got all sorts of projects on the go. Video gaming is hugely competitive. It's very difficult to get into, and everything I audition for, I'm aware that I'm up against hundreds probably of other actors who are, just more accomplished than me in many ways. A lot of them have been to drama school. A lot of them just come straight out of doing 3 AAA games on the trot. So it's fiercely competitive. And I've just done just recently I managed to do some atmospheric characters in a Game of Thrones game, that was huge fun. And a lot of those are in a Yorkshire accent. Ironically, if people are playing that game, they might hear a hint of Hoxton as they walk past. So I mean, it's just the most fun. So my answer is, I haven't got loads more in the pipeline, but I would really like to. Fingers crossed you'll hit me in more video games at some point.
Well, I imagine a lot of projects you're working on, especially like bigger ones, you probably wouldn't even be allowed to talk about at this point, would you?
There are some
NDAs.
NDAs are very commonplace these days, non-disclosure agreements, and so there's 1 or 2 that I'm sort of involved in and waiting for release that I'm not allowed to talk about. But yeah, it's just I love video games and audio dramas are just my favourite things to do, and they're so much fun. And so yeah, more of those.
And finally, I guess, what tips and suggestions would you give to people who might be very, interested in getting into voice acting? Obviously, your sort of entry was a bit different back, like I think you said 20 years ago, but
yeah, nearly 30 years ago,
yeah.
29 years ago. Was it? No, actually, no, it's more like 26 years ago.
Longer than 20. God, that's longer than I've been alive. Not to make you feel old, but a lot of people. I'm 22. I had to think about that for a second there.
Yeah, I started running the agency in '96, and I think I did my first voiceover job in '99. The industry has changed an awful lot since I joined it, and it was a whole lot easier when I did get started because there weren't nearly so many people doing it. So I suppose my first bit of advice would be think very carefully before you decide you want to get into it, because it can be very competitive and it is increasingly difficult to earn a living from. Which is probably not what everyone's been taught to believe. It's like, you can make thousands and become a millionaire. And 30 years ago, that may have been true for one or two people. It's certainly not true anymore. I would also say get some training. There are loads of training courses available these days. Get some skills, get some practice, work out. If you're going to build a studio at home, which you probably need to if you want to earn a living from it, inform yourself about how to do that, which bits of kit to use. I think if you're going to get into voice acting, you probably need to put aside 6 months to get yourself set up and trained, and you'll need several £1,000s to invest in your training, in your career, and your studio. So there's no easy way of getting in. But once you've got the skills, once you've got your foot in the door, it's terrific fun. It's a brilliant industry to be involved in, but it is really competitive. And as a result, the fees are kind of spiraling downwards at the moment because literally everyone wants to do it. I think when I started, there were probably half a dozen 20-year-old men in the UK that had access to a remote professional studio, and I was one of them, so I did very well out of it. And now there are tens of thousands of people doing it. It's a jungle out there.
I think that's some good advice, and I think it's one of those things where if you really, really want to do it, you'll put your head down, and then it'll definitely pay off.
I mean, the other bit of advice I would give is work out what you can offer that nobody else can.
Okay. So
you have a unique selling point. What will you be the go-to guy or girl for? There's no quick answer to that. You have to do a bit of thinking and a bit of research to work out what you do that nobody else can do quite as well.
So you want to try and sell your voice in a very specific set of scenarios where you can thrive in more than, say, like advertising. Would you be better at voice acting in a game?
Yeah, you're right. That's not a bad way of putting it. You can't try and be all things to all people. So, like, if you're grown up in London, don't do Scottish accents on your voiceover show. Do you know what I mean? Because even if they're marvelous, they're just going to book a Scottish actor. So you've got to work out which 4 or 5 things you're going to really clean up in, and target your marketing towards those. But again, I mean, these are all hints and tips that you will get as part of the training programs. Do you know what I mean? If you want to get into it, and I would go to, some of the people that offer training courses, and they'll tell you everything you need to know about how to put a good demo together, and how to market yourself and focus that marketing. But it is, I mean, you are running a business. It isn't, you know what I mean? It's not just a playground.
Yeah.
It's a playground when you get in front of the microphone, but the rest of the time it's very much a business. Yeah.
I'm looking at the time in the corner of the Zoom meeting, and we've got 1 minute and 18 seconds left.
Oh.
I literally just clocked it. I was like, okay, we probably need to wrap up before that goes, otherwise it'll be quite awkward just having the video in there. But I really appreciate the time that you've taken out of your day to sit down and do this with me.
Pleasure.
Absolutely incredible. I think we've gone over our time a little bit, which is absolutely fine. I can always edit.
Well, it's been really nice talking to you, and you know, thank you for having me, and you know, I'm happy to catch up at another time if you want to.
Awesome. Yeah, we can totally set that up. I'm always available. But thank you everyone for watching this video. It's been an absolute pleasure to work on it with Pete. Make sure that you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.